The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am, of course, your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Monday, July 24th, 2017. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, I'd like to begin my show by thanking our patrons, without whom this is not possible. Make sure I can hear myself good here. Yeah. So, a lot to talk about. And I thought that I was going to be able to cover everything on... Let me take this out so I can hear myself better. I thought that I was going to be able to cover everything that I wanted to say about this in our morning broadcast this morning. I did an open, every morning I do a patrons-only morning analysis. This morning I did an open analysis, and I did it for everyone that would listen. And the purpose of this morning's, the opening it up to everyone, was because I wanted to share my concerns about something that's happening on the progressive left. Now, I also explained why I wasn't talking about it publicly on my show and why I didn't want to talk about it on my show. But now I really believe I have to talk about it on my show. That's the reality. I have to talk about it on my show because there's something going on the left that I think is critical. I think it's vitally important for us to understand what's happening, why it's happening, and what the ramifications are. I just want to check something here real quick. Okay, I just wanted to. All right, so here's what's going on. In a way, this is inside politics. This is inside baseball. And I like to keep my, my shows about the big picture and about the news. It's either about the news or it's about the big picture. And part of what's going on the progressive left really has become the big picture. And this big picture specifically in terms of what are we going to tolerate as progressives. Now, ideally, as progressives, you know, people who are pretty focused on being ideologically pure or at least having some standards, you would expect that a party, that a group of people that are focused on being ideologically pure, or at a minimum, they're focused on having some basic standards, would draw the line at some key critical points. And when I say party, I actually mean a movement, because this progressive left is not really affiliated with a party. It's more of a movement. And it's becoming a watershed moment. And it's become a watershed moment that it is beyond irresponsible for people to not speak about. And I mean this across the board. I love Chapo, but they need to speak about this. I love Kyle Kalinske, but he needs to speak about this. And I'll message Kyle, and I guess I can message Chapo too. So I'm not calling them out, but I am calling them. I'm calling out everyone with a platform that may not even be aware that this conversation is going on. What's the conversation? The conversation is one that has been spread like a virus because of two people in particular. Well, three people. The person who presented this idea most recently, Caitlin Johnston, an Australian journalist making political commentary on the United States, forwarded an idea that we should align with the anti-establishment of the right. And if the anti-establishment of the left aligns with the anti-establishment of the right, then we all could just get together and beat up CNN. That's the basic premise. The anti-establishment of the right that picked up the message and endorsed Caitlin includes the like of Mike Cernovich, who is establishment. He's not anti-establishment. He is establishment. He helped get Donald Trump elected. He supports Donald Trump. He is a part of the White House. He's been to the White House press corps room. He is an insider now. The only thing that makes him ostensibly an outsider or an anti-establishment, Mike Cernovich, I'm speaking of, the only thing that makes him anti-establishment is the fact that he still says things that are disgustingly even beyond the pale for Donald Trump. That's it. Like, there's some things that, like, Donald Trump will say some disgusting things, But the alt-right, of which he is a proud member, certainly has gone even further than Donald Trump. And so this message from Caitlin Johnstone, everybody loves me, likes for me to call names. So fine, I'll call names, whatever. I didn't find out who she was until, I read her article a couple weeks ago, but I didn't find out who she was until Beth Lynch wrote an article for ProgressiveArmy.com. And I was like, oh, this is the individual. But anyway, I digress. The point is that the idea is for anti-establishment left to align with anti-establishment right. And it's been seized upon by the likes of Mike Cernovich, as well as Julian Assange. Julian Assange shared it and said, like, this is a great idea. So now it's an idea that has been picking up momentum. I've actually had people reach out to me because of my vociferous opposition towards this idea for obvious reasons, but we can go over them. I've had people reach out to me, H.A. Goodman, Tim Black. They've reached out to me to consider, taking it easy on Caitlin, or whatever her name is. Kate, whatever. And I seriously, like, somebody just shoot it to me in text, because I have a hard time remembering my colleagues' names. Part of it is me being an asshole, but the other part of it is me. I just can't remember names. But I have people come to me saying that we should consider it. And that's when it dawned on me, even more so today, that this is a flashpoint in the progressive movement. This is where we decide as progressives, do we prove the Democratic establishment correct? Do we prove neoliberals who weaponized, the key phrase is weaponized identity politics? Are we going to empower the Democratic establishment and neoliberals who weaponize identity politics by giving them exactly what they accused progressives of being? Sexist, racist, misogynist, only focused on economics to the detriment of race and identity. And in many ways, that's what we're doing. And this is why it's become a watershed moment, because people in defense of this idea of why we should align with Cernovich and why we should align with the likes of like Ann Coulter and Alex Jones and people who are anti-establishment, even though they make just as much money off the establishment as anybody else on the left side of the equation. But I digress. The reason this has become a watershed moment is because in order to defend this idea, you have more and more white progressives, yes, particularly white progressives with every now and then the occasional person of color. You're always going to have like the 1%, the 2% of a community who's willing to do exactly what other people want them to do, but I digress. The white progressives are now using, are now directly attacking identity itself. White progressives, particularly white men and some white women, but a lot of white men, are attacking the concept of identity, period, so that they can promote this idea that we should align with people who recognize our identity and hate our identities and attack our identities, specifically because of our identities. Yeah, man. So I'm pausing because you know what? This is a flashpoint moment. And my friend, Anoa Changa, who, she hasn't been on the show in a while, and that's my fault. I miss her. I miss her like a fat kid, Mrs. Cake. Love you, Anoa. But she and Wendy Muse and a couple of other people who are a part of the Progressive Army, some are not directly part of the Progressive Army, but they have been holding the line. Beth Lynch wrote an entire article on it. They have, particularly women and women of color specifically, have been holding the line while the rest of us actually come to grips with the fact that this is an important moment that is dividing the progressive left and quite literally can destroy the movement. And as people recognize that this is a moment that may destroy the movement, you know what they're asking? On our side of the equation, they're asking us to forget about our identity and align with people who hate our identity and because of our identity. That's what they're asking. And you know what we're asking them? Have some effing standards. Don't be willing to align or collaborate or corroborate or whatever you want to with these people. Don't sign up to fight alongside people who will turn around and destroy your brother or your sister. And if you're willing to do that, we are asking, or we're pointing out rather, that you're not really our brother or our sister. And you know what the answers I've gotten all day to this? And this is why I said it's time for me to address it on my main show. The answers that I've gotten all day to this: oh, I can't wait until all of you identity people are irrelevant. Oh, you need to forget about your identity. Oh, you need to focus on what affects us all, not what affects just your identity. Again, asking us to relinquish the importance of our reality, because our reality in America is 100% shaped by our identity. The economics of our lives are shaped by our identity. And while we are willing to say or point out that the weaponization of identity politics, and hopefully you guys have been here long enough with me to understand all the terms, right? The weaponization of identity politics can be, actually, if you want to see the weaponization of identity politics, take a look at Caitlin Johnston, the very person who says that we should align with the alt-right. Mike Cernovich. She would not repudiate Mike Cernovich. Let's call names, right? You know, you want to call names. You want to get specific? Let's look at her tactic. Because when I said I would be willing to debate this idea with you if you simply repudiate a man who likes to joke about raping women. All you have to do is repudiate a man who likes to joke about the death of Trayvon Martin, who likes to joke about, and not just joke, but likes to insult our African-American identity because of our identity, who sees Black Lives Matter as ISIS. All you have to do is repudiate. And you know what was said to me? This is the weaponization of identity politics. Oh, your entitled male ego. So she's hiding behind her identity to avoid legitimate critique. That is the weaponization of identity politics, which has been thoroughly defined in almost a dissertation format by the likes of Adolph Reed and particularly the Progressive Army. I mean, we dissected the hell out of that in the primaries. And so we know the weaponization of identity politics when we see it. Yes, Hillary Clinton did it. Yes, Kamala Harris, people are starting to do it for her. And yes, I've seen the people who hate identity politics weaponize identity politics to try to convince us to not use identity politics because they don't have to worry about their identity. Not a single person, except like one person who, one individual, but every person who has been inundating my timeline, inundating my Facebook messages, inundating every aspect of social media with regard to me or the Progressive Army, every person who's been telling us that we should just simply forget about our identity have been white and predominantly men. So, of course, you don't have to worry about your identity because you've got the winning identity based on American history. When have you ever had to be worried about being pulled over, driving while black, walking while black? When have you ever had to worry about a gender pay gap, getting paid less just because you're a woman? When have you ever had to worry about sexual harassment being a part of the culture? Yes, men can get sexually harassed, but sexual harassment is a part of American culture. When have white men ever had to worry about those things? And so, of course, it makes total sense that you just simply don't understand why we would draw the line and have some standards when people want to align or collaborate or whatever the entire hell you want to call it, want to collaborate with people who are willing to attack us based on our identity because of our identity. When you have never had to worry a single damn day in your life about your identity. And to be fair, there have been plenty of white male progressives and plenty of white women progressives who have come and agreed with us 100%. 100%. And so I thank you for those of you who challenge us, but then you see, I have people who were angry with me and then they listened and they saw what was going on and they saw that that there's a faction of progressives. And when I say a faction, I mean a growing faction. I mean, this idea was just promoted on Jill Stein, Dr. Jill Stein of the effing Green Party, on her website, on her live stream, to her 700,000 followers. And so this idea is growing, and therefore it is a flashpoint, and therefore it is something that every progressive of any significance, as small as my show, as big as a Chapo Trap House, everybody needs to address this and let it be known. And I think part of the equation is that a lot of times you don't want to get inside of the internal bickering because it's only going to serve to alienate one side or the other. But I'm happy to announce that I don't give a shit. and that I'm quite happy alienating anyone who does not think that it is important for us to have zero tolerance with white supremacists and rape apologists. Caller, you've been patient. Thanks for your patience. You're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben. This is Brandi.
Hey, Brandi. How are you?
Pretty good. I've been out of the loop for a long time, so I'm just hearing about the whole, progressives want to unite with the alt-right.
Yeah.
And I watched a 30-minute video earlier this afternoon. And from my personal opinion, I'm quite disgusted about it because you want to align with people who basically want to take my right as a woman and take your right as an African-American man.
Yep.
And who basically want to destroy us. This is all. I'm like, why? And this is unpopular to say. I'd rather unite with the neoliberals than with the neo-Nazis in the world to right. Because at least with the neoliberals, they fight hard for identity politics, even though at times they do weaponize it. I understand that. But that's one of the things we can agree with neoliberals on, even if you have so many other problems with the Democratic Party.
Absolutely, absolutely, and to just drill down on what you're saying, it's if you're going to align with someone from the right, why would you not align with moderate Republicans from the right? Republicans who are more moderate on economic issues and are not bigoted on social issues. Like, of all the people you could align with from the right, you choose to align with people who are the scum and the dregs of society. So, whether you say, okay, we could align with neoliberals for a cheap, but you could also align with the moderate Republicans who are not going to tolerate rape culture and tolerate jokes about rape. But anyway, I'm sorry. You go ahead. This is your call. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, completely fine. And this is all because of what happened during the primaries, Hillary Clinton winning and her losing. I get it. I'm not the biggest Hillary Clinton fan. Did I prefer her over Donald Trump? Yeah. But it's over. She's not in the White House. The only time I will be worried about Hillary Clinton if she tries to run again in 2019 and 2020. We don't know that for sure, and people keep saying, oh, she's not going to do it. That's the only time I'm worried about her.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm worried about the Republicans. I'm like, tomorrow they're about to vote on the health care bill that they don't even know which one they're voting for. Are they repeal and replace or just a repeal and delay bill? We don't know which one they're voting for tomorrow.
Right. And
a lot of people are depending.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people are.
Go ahead. Finish that thought.
And a lot of people are depending on that bill.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. It's right wing. It's conservative. It came from the Heritage Foundation.
Yep.
But a lot of people need it, and if they get rid of it, so many people are going to die. That's just
absolutely.
And another thing is that if these people who are so-called progressive, if they look up to people like Bernie Sanders, Nina Turner, Tulsi Gabbard, all these people who they said, "Oh, we were Bernie fans," you do realize that people on the alt-right despises them. So
absolutely.
I won't be surprised if some of them wouldn't mind them dying off.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I can't agree with you more. Thanks so much for the call. 857-600-0518 if you want to weigh in on the discussion. They absolutely despise progressivism. Your progressivism, the only thing Mike Cernovich actually tweeted, like Mike Cernovich has been on mainstream media. Like I said, he's been in the White House. He is establishment. And the only thing the bone that Mike Cernovich threw your way was not anything about universal basic income. It was not anything about free college tuition. It was about paying off college debts. Paying back, like forgiving college debts. That was the only bone that he was willing to throw your way. And yet you want to align with this. And then somebody said, oh, well, Ralph Nader suggested the same thing. I tell you what, let's go look at the entirety of Ralph Nader's work. And if Ralph Nader is willing to align with fascists in order to get an economic policy that he prefers, then Ralph Nader can go to hell too. If Jill Stein continues to support this on her page and allow this message to go out across her page, it's almost like everyone is looking like, oh, how absurd. You're so absurd because you won't give this any time of day. You're being just emotional. You're letting your identity control you. Bitch, my identity was controlled when I got pulled over for no reason. All these dudes coming into my timeline talking about forget your identity. Dude, have you ever been pulled over and the cop has absolutely no reason whatsoever? Told you to get out of the car for no reason whatsoever. Have you ever had a friend of yours killed by the police for no reason, simply for being black? And you want us to just simply forget about our identity because, you know, if we don't forget about our identity, that means that you have a problem with your plan. And this is the thing. Them admitting or them asking us to forget about our identity suggests that they see the logical problem with their plan. Because their plan suggests that we should align with people who dismiss our identity. And these are progressives. And this is a meaningful conversation. You know why? Because I refuse to work with people who can so easily dismiss the fact that I'm a black man or the fact that my sister is a black woman or an Hispanic woman or Hispanic man, an immigrant, a Muslim, LGBT. I refuse to work with people who can so easily dismiss that. And not only dismiss it, but align with people who want to destroy us because of it. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and/or question?
Hi there, Ben. My name is Patrick. I just wanted to say that I really could not agree with you more here. And I do think it's important. Something that I think neolibs do a lot is that they conflate voters and, you know, like thought leaders, like for the leaders of a movement. So, you know, it's one thing to say that, you know, that there are possibly Trump voters who could vote for a progressive, inclusive platform. It's another thing entirely to say, you know, let's align with like the alt-right, the active people who are spreading an ideology.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, distinguishing that is a really important thing because, like, you know, as soon as we start actually, you know, approaching the leaders of that ideology, there will be a lot of people who will just get sucked towards that. And that's absolutely a line that has to be drawn.
Absolutely. You know, what's your name again?
Patrick.
Patrick. Thanks for the call because you know what? You're bringing out something else that I didn't point out that I think is absolutely worth pointing out. Thanks for the call. It's that they are in league with the leaders of the alt-right for the purposes of benefiting from their platform. They love the platform. They love the shine. They love what they're getting from the leaders of the alt-right. And you know what? That's a problem because now you own them. You own them. They endorse you. You want their endorsement and you won't repudiate them. You own them. But instead, what you could do is work for, like Patrick just said, there are Trump supporters who don't, and I'm going to say this, but I don't know that I quite believe it yet, but I'll say it. It's possible that there are Trump supporters who reject his bigotry, who reject his open bigotry, his open attack on Islam, his open attack on the black community, who reject his insidious comments towards Mexicans and Hispanics and the Latinx community. There may be some. They may be the outliers. I don't know how many. But what you cannot do is align with the likes of Mike Cernovich and say, oh, I'm really not here for Mike Cernovich. I'm here for all those good Trump supporters. But you are benefiting from Mike Cernovich. You're enjoying his endorsement. You refuse to repudiate him. And you play the game of, Caitlin's playing the game of, I'm going to repudiate his tweets, but I'm not going to repudiate him. Well, he hasn't repudiated his tweets. He hasn't changed anything he believes. And so you are still embracing him simply for the sake of his platform. That means you have no values in common with me, with the progressive movement. I even had somebody say, oh, Ben, we don't like arrogant people. Well, really? That's what you're going to go with? Arrogant black dude, right? Arrogant guy. So, you know, would you like for me to be humbly submissive? Oh, yes. Okay, boss. Whatever you say, boss, we'll go right along with the boss. All right. You know, my blackness is not really that important. You want me to go and chop up some watermelon and do some fried chicken like Sean Hannity's favorite boy? You want me to do that? You know, you want me to be humble and submissive? You got the wrong Negro here. Anyway, caller, you live on the air. What's your name, comment, and a question?
Hey, Ben, this is Nick from Oregon.
Nick, how's it going?
Hey, it's going all right. So I kind of wanted to piggyback off of what Patrick said. And just so you know, I left a message about this, but I thought that maybe your lines are off, so I'm just going to say it here. I'm really confused by this this whole discussion. Not confused. I guess beyond the whole like ideological, like why would you want to align with these people if their interests directly don't cross with yours, beyond just the whole mainstream media is propaganda and bad. If you just look at it as a numbers thing, why would we want to align with a movement that is so small? Even, I mean, again, we talk about what things we might have in common, but that's such a small group to ask what we're having in common with. Why not people that, again, didn't vote in the election at all and they were eligible to vote? Like, what about that half? What about the group of people that aren't eligible to vote, like teenagers or coming of age of adults? Like, that's a bigger group, and that would seem more, if we're talking about like people to align with in order to make our goals come true. Why are we talking about the alt-right? Why is that even on the radar? I don't understand why that would be the focus of this. Why that would be like, oh, this is the group that is our saving grace, so that way we can unite and go do whatever. It's like there are so many other people around that are not the alt-right that aren't even on the internet, which is the other thing. Is like Mike Cernovich is, like, as far as I know, entirely internet based. Why are we looking at someone who is not even on the ground, even helping? So that's all my thing I have to say.
Thank you, man. I knew my callers are always smarter than me. Two reasons they think this is the right move. One, because Mike Cernovich has a large social media platform, and social media represents some modicum of political capital. There's a question of whether or not it translates to real political capital in the real world. Plenty of studies to argue for and against that idea. But you can't help the lure of getting some notoriety that, oh, I had Mike Cernovich retweet me, or I had, I got the endorsement from Mike Cernovich on this, and I got the endorsement from Julian Assange on this, which is like, I'm kind of surprised, but I'm not. This is my shocked face that Julian Assange would support this idea. Julian Assange, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if there was some type of transparency, radical transparency organization that could like nip this entire Russia thing in the bud with evidence that supports it or evidence that refutes it? Wouldn't it be great if it was there? But instead of that, he's chiming in on this conversation saying that he thinks it's a great idea for the anti-establishment left to align with the anti-establishment right. The hidden message in that, the subtext in that, is suggesting that the right, the alt-right, is actually anti-establishment. I mean, Richard Spencer is on CNN more than Cornel West. Hell, like 100 times more than Ralph Nader. Richard Spencer is establishment. His dude is in the White House. So they think they're anti-establishment. In reality, they are not anti-establishment. And then two, they enjoy the notoriety of getting retweeted by somebody with, I guess, 100,000, 200, whatever, 300,000 people, whatever. But what's important about this, though, again, what's important is that it really is creating a divide. It's creating a new divide amongst quite a few progressives. Are they all online? No, not all of them. Most of them are, but this is creating a divide that I think has to be answered, or that has to be accounted for. Where do you stand? And it's actually done something more than just whether or not you're willing to align with the alt-right. It's really about whether or not you are going to demand that people dismiss their identity now in order for your plans to succeed. Everything, ask a black woman, ask a Hispanic woman, ask a LGBTQ woman, a trans woman, ask black men, what part of their daily life is not shaped by their identity? There are, if you look at the spectrum on the opposite of Republicans, because it's such a broad spectrum, but you generally have the neoliberal centrist. They weaponize identity politics. Then you have the progressive left, the real progressive left. And we call them out for the weaponization of identity politics, but we understand how important someone's identity is to their material existence. The life that you live in America is 100% affected by your identity. So while we reject the neoliberal center's weaponization of identity politics, we in the progressive left, we also recognize that it is important, but it should not be weaponized. And now you have this left, this faction that Michael Brooks of the Majority Report called the dumb left. You have this faction who are now saying, who are proving the weaponized crowd, correct. Because they're saying, oh, identity, schmidentity. Forget about your identity. Your identity's not important. Oh, I wish you identity folks would just go away. Like these motherfuckers have been waiting to say this all. They just been playing nice. They played nice so that they could try to help Bernie win, and they played nice so that they could try to help Hillary lose. And now they just like giving up and say, oh shit, I can't take this shit anymore. All of you black people and all you people with identities, I just hate it. Just get rid of it so that we can align with the alt-right to beat CNN. This shows you that what's preeminent on their priorities list, what's at the top of their priorities list is, hang on, I'm gonna restart that sentence. It shows you that they feel oppressed. The oppression that they feel comes from CNN. That shows you, that should show you if anyone should be dismissed, if your oppression, if your world is, if you are shooketh because of CNN, and you are more concerned about what CNN broadcasts than you are with the fact that some thousands of people are being pulled over right now simply because of their identity, I don't think you're really qualified to be in this conversation. Oh my God, CNN just put, oh my God, can you look at the propaganda? Oh, the propaganda's making me melt. Meanwhile, there's a dude right now who's being harassed by the police in New York, Baltimore, Philly, Ferguson. There's a black woman being sexually harassed by not only being called the N-word, but be called an N-word bitch. It compounds. And I even had somebody say, oh, it's the oppression Olympics. Good luck with the oppression Olympics. Well, I guess you don't have to worry about the oppression Olympics when you're a white male who, the only thing you're worried about is the fact that CNN likes to broadcast war propaganda. As if Fox News doesn't. But do you see anybody saying we need to unite? And find me a single alt-right person who's going to unite with you to oppose Fox News propaganda. I'll wait. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
What's up, man? It's Q again, man.
Hey, what's going on, my dude? What's happening?
Man, I'm just listening to this show right now, and I just had to call up because you speaking truth to power, dog, and I just want to chime in real quick.
Go for it, man. I appreciate it.
Forget my voice. But yeah, man, basically, just a couple quick thoughts. I know you got to go, but when you look at what's going on right now, everything that you just brought up, obviously I 100% agree with it. And me being a Marxist and me being somebody who's always being pushed out of so-called progressive spaces by white males who view me simply as, someone who's been brainwashed by ideology that they don't agree with. Number one, the underlying racism in that alone is something to chew on. But the fact that they would rather align with alt-right people whose ideology is created simply to oppose the ideologies that their ancestors created is just incessantly amazing to me. But number two,
stupidest thing I ever heard, Q. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard, man. But go ahead.
Can we just number two? Can we speak on how the fact that these people would rather go on the internet and align with Pepe the Frog Abbeys than actually mobilize and try to get some type of coalition building in the South and the Midwest with like white folks and poor black folks who are willing and dying, literally dying to have any type of wage increase, any type of health care, but rather they would align with those people. And number three, let me just speak up for the black women for 1 second, because there are people who have been preaching intersectionality for decades. And this idea is the death of that.
Yeah.
This idea is the complete destruction of that idea. That is a complete disrespect. People like Bell Hooks, Audre Lorde. I'm not even going to go on and on, but we know that if we are to do away with labels and to do away with what society has put on oppressed communities, all we are doing is taking the focus off of what really needs to be taken apart, and that's the system. But I'm not going to take up too much of your time, Ben. I just want y'all to chew on that they would rather align with Pepe the Frog than actually get boots on the ground and try to mobilize the Midwest, the South, and align with people who are once again, like my last call last week, align with people who are to the left of them. But yeah.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Q, thanks so much for the call. That's an awesome call. And I could speak to that real quick, right? I mean, you know what our suggestion was? What last caller Q just said. Our suggestion to these people was, what you really should do is go tap that 46% of the electorate that has never voted or didn't vote in the last 2 elections, that feel disenfranchised, who are generally to the left of the rest of America and just feel like America doesn't serve them. Go and touch them, particularly go touch the black community and go to the barbershops and go to the churches and go into the community centers and go talk to all of these people, because you know why? If you talk to them, you'll find out that they're just as radical, if not more radical than you. And if you talk to them, then you can show them that you're really fighting for economic uplift, right? You recognize their identity, but let's fight for some economic uplift. And we fight for economic uplift, and we all come up together. You go take that message to the barbershops, and you take that message to all the churches, and you get you a black coalition to fight back against the neoliberal center that weaponizes identity politics. That was our suggestion. And you know what these motherfuckers did? They said, nah, bro, that's too hard. Let's align with Pepe the Frog. Like, this is calling, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and our question?
Hey, Ben, it's me, Bryce.
Hey, Bryce, what's going on, man?
Oh, good. Yeah, everything that you said tonight, including this morning, just kind of hits everything on the head, on the nail, because like I talked to you before, months ago, about the whole progressive, midlife crisis, because basically you have, you could say, fake progressives, real progressives, and then this intertwined war, because basically you got, okay, let's put it out there. You got Jimmy Dore versus Sam Cedar. You got Tim Black, H.A. Goodman, who's still pissed about not being part of TYT. Let's just be real. We got, all these issues, including what he talked about this morning. And like I said, I like Jimmy, I like H.A. and everybody. Sometimes they can go a little off the wall, but it's just a situation of this big warfare. And of course, yes, is it the establishment's fault? Yes, because the Republicans and the GOP ain't shit and they don't give a damn. The Democrats only go halfway, but they're brought out, so they don't go all the way, because we still don't got water in Flint, stuff like that. So trust me, the big reason, obviously, is because the establishment just doesn't give a fuck at the end of the day, and they don't do what they got to do. They don't govern the right way, and we need progressives like Bernie and Nina Turner, and others like that. I still like Liz, but she kind of was teetering a bit,
Liz?
Because maybe Hillary promised or something. I don't know.
Oh, Elizabeth
so
Warren.
she got back on track, but. Yeah. Basically, you just have this big warfare. And like you just said, it's going to hurt us because everybody's going to war. And it's like, we got to get on track. Yeah. We got to figure this out quickly and get back on track, eliminate what we got to eliminate, and then hopefully everything will be all right. But like everything, it's just wild.
Bryce, thanks for the call. 857-600-0518 if you want to weigh in. I'm not sure that we can get back on track. I'm not sure that we can get back on track because of what this is doing. And actually, I want to thank Caitlin. I said this before. I want to thank Caitlin, the woman who wrote the article. Trash article, but the result actually is going to be helpful because it's fleshing out the people who were the proto-Cassandras. And I know we're throwing around a lot of names, but Cassandra Fairbanks was probably one of the leading voices in favor of Bernie Sanders, who overnight switched to support Donald Trump. And not only did she flip to support Donald Trump, but she also became a full-fledged member of the alt-right, right? And so I'm grateful that Caitlin's article is showing us exactly who these people are. They just didn't have the nerve that Cassandra had. They didn't have the chutzpah that she had to just do a complete 180. They were scared. They were cowards. And so it just took them forever to get around to the reality that You know, you actually were the worst definition of a Bernie bro. That's what you are. You are the worst definition of Bernie bro. And while the rest of us black folks and brown people, we're out here like, hey, all of us aren't Bernie bros. We aren't all here. So some of us are leftists and we're black. Some of us recognize race as well as economics. And matter of fact, our critiques will thrash yours. And we went out there putting in that work. All the while, what some of the neoliberals are saying about you all is true. That you don't care about nobody's race. You don't care about anyone's identity. You don't care about anyone except for your economic goals. And your economic goals is, I guess, is so preeminent to you that you're willing to align with people who hate your economic goals. Like, how dumb are you? I feel like what's the boy name? Hide your kids. Antoine Dobson. Like, you are so dumb. You are so dumb that you're going to align with people who hate your economic goals. I probably missed some calls here. 857-600-0518. I mean, actually, I got to text somebody. It's important. I got to text somebody here. But I'm just wondering, like, what does it take? What does it take for you to think that aligning with people who disagree with you economically is the best way for you to get your economic goals across? Because you think that, they hate CNN, I hate CNN. CNN is ultimately stopping me from getting what I want done. Somehow, CNN is the greatest oppressor in America. And you know what's funny? Isn't it funny how I just go off on all the tangents tonight? We're taking all the tangents. Isn't it funny that the mission, the agreed upon joint mission is actually supporting Donald Trump? The agreed upon joint mission is we'll give some concessions over here for the right, we'll give some concessions over here for the left, but our joint mission is to attack CNN and the mainstream media. Not Fox News, because Fox News isn't mainstream media, of course. But the agreed upon mission actually serves the White House. It serves power. It serves Donald Trump. Because what is Donald Trump's number one mission? This is how I know they are agent provocateurs. They're actually here. They're not progressive. They're from the right. And they're here to support Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump only has one goal. Donald Trump doesn't think ISIS is the number one enemy. Donald Trump clearly doesn't think Russia is the number one enemy. Donald Trump thinks the only enemy of America right now is the mainstream media. And he defines the mainstream media as anyone who does not kiss his orange ass. And so this coalition to accomplish somehow magically accomplish progressive goals is really just designed by design to serve Donald Trump. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
My name is Ish. You know who I am, but the one thing that is not being discussed dangerous is the new brand of alt-right that I will call the Marie Le Pen brand of alt-right, where in the French election, Marie Le Pen was, her economic message was to the left of Emmanuel Macron. And so basically when that alt-right comes back, the Democrats need to be aware of that, because that's the next brand of alt, and they are way more dangerous, because at that point, can we ask a lot of poor people to say, vote for somebody like Macron, who's going to impose austerity because he won't ban all the immigrants. So that's what I'm worried about with this kind of alliance, is the emergence of the Marie Le Pen kind of.
Isha, this totally empowers the neoliberal center. This move not only empowers them, but it gives them all the ammunition they will ever need. They can legitimately, without weaponizing a single identity politics, without being disingenuous or lying like Joanne Reed did so many times in this primary, they can legitimately now say, see, look what these progressives want. These progressives want to align with racist, fascist, white supremacists, rape apologists. And that does nothing but help the neoliberal center. Isha, we got a bad connection. I really want to hear what you have to say, so tweet it to me. But I can't hear you at that point. 857-600, and I think it might be mine. No, I got the fastest internet. I've ever seen in my lifetime. 857-600-0518 if you want to weigh in on the discussion. I really wanted to open up the lines tonight. We've got a lot of great callers. Everybody has added something to it. If you disagree with me, call in. I mean, I can't promise you I'm going to be nice, but I promise you I'll give you at least the first 45 seconds to say what you got to say. But 857-600-0518. This is absolutely going to empower the Democratic establishment. And I'm doing some videos for these folks in Atlanta, in the Southeast, content.news. And a video I did today, I was really happy. I was really passionate about one of the videos I did for them today because it was pointing out how utterly disastrous the neoliberal center is. The fact that Democrats raised $5.5 million in June and Republicans raised $13 million in June, and that the Democrats are in $3.3 million in debt and the Republicans are debt-free. And this is despite the fact that Donald Trump has the lowest approval rate of any president in the first 6 months in the last 70 years. And despite all of that, Hillary Clinton remains more unpopular than Donald Trump. I'm like, how, Sway? How? How do you do that? How do you be more unpopular than Donald Trump at this point? But that's what the data shows. And so in the video, I'm like, clearly opposing Donald Trump is not enough. That ridiculous DCCC banner that was floated, Democrats 2018, because have you seen the other guys? Yes. The world has seen how disgusting Donald Trump is. And you know what they've done? Republicans have given $200 or less small donations, have outpaced the Democrats on small donations because of Donald Trump. And the Democrats, they're behind in all fundraising categories, particularly in small donations. And so what does that say to you? That says to you that the Democratic center is dying. The Democratic center is dying, and they are dying without the progressive movement. But you know what moves like this do? It turns around and gives them exactly the life that they need to not be challenged. They're dying, but they won't be challenged from the left. You know why? Because you have too many members of the left who actually think it's okay for us to dismiss identities en masse and to align with the alt-right. You tell me, after what they did in the 2016 midterms, 2015 primaries and 2016 primaries, you tell me what establishment Democrat, corporate Democrat, won't be able to whip the ass of any progressive because of the handiwork of progressives. And this is why I think it's a watershed moment, because I think for the sake of the progressive movement, everyone with a platform of any significance needs to stay their peace. Choose ye this day. Well, no, I'm not going to cuss there. I want to. Where are you on this issue? Why does it matter? Because you know what? The longer we wait for this to become a big enough issue for us to discuss on our big platforms, the more malignant the cancer will be. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and/or question?
Hello?
Yep, you're live. What's up?
Yeah. A lot of stuff you saying is a bunch of BS.
Okay.
And you know it.
Well, you got 30 seconds. You got 40. I'll give you 45. I'll give you 45 seconds to say what you got to say. Go for it. Why is what I'm saying BS?
Because you talking about neoliberalism holds the line against conservatives and corporate Dems will crush any progressives because they cheated, and you know this. You know they cheated. So why you send this BS?
Where's the BS? What do they use?
Dude, I see your videos,
what do they use?
Man.
What do they use?
I see your videos.
What do they use? I'm gonna call you Sway. How, Sway? How? What do they use? What do they use, Sway?
I don't your shit.
What do they use? They use weaponized identity politics, Sway. Tell me your name and I'll call you by your real name, Sway.
It's me, Dimebag. You know who I am. Don't act stupid.
Nigga, I don't know you. You could be motherfucking 50 Cent. I don't know you, Sway.
I went to your Twitter page and called you out. You ain't do nothing.
Man, dude, I got 33,000 Twitter followers. Do you think I know you? Tell me your name. You using Twitter handles.
You know who I am.
Boy, my name is Benjamin Dixon. That's my name. What's your name?
Diabetic TV featuring
Nigga, I
Diabetic
don't
Gully.
want
You know who
no
I am.
pseudonym. I don't want no hashtag. When you grow a backbone, use your real name and answer me, Houseway.
I called your show.
Houseway.
And I be on your Twitter.
Houseway. All right. (857-600-0518). Sorry, folks. Gave him a chance. Like I said, I'll be nice for the first 30 seconds. 857-655. Who this? Who this? What's your name, caller?
This is Steven from Orlando, Florida. I've been trying to call all night, man.
Hey, man, glad you got in. I hope you disagree with me so you could tell me why you disagree with me and we can actually have a conversation. Go for it.
Oh, I can't. You know I can't do that. I actually left a message a little earlier, but I completely agree with you. It's like as if when they say identity politics, like you said, it's like it doesn't matter. I think I said earlier, you know, when you look at all the things that have gone on and all the issues that we're dealing with, they make it seem like they're doing us a favor by kind of listening somewhat. You know, I think I said earlier, it's like, you know, they're Maria Antoinette and they're telling us, well, just let them have cake, you know, let them have a little something, you know, a little bit of this, but they don't realize that it's so much that you deal with day to day, as whether you're black, whether you're whatever you are. And that matters because just like you said, you're pity partying over CNN. I mean, CNN's not killing you. Exactly. You know, I think you said that, you know, you walk around shuffling when us to be boss, you know, whatever. In reality, what people don't see is that you're doing it to survive sometimes, just so you don't have to deal with it. You know, they've never been that kid in the car where a police officer touches his gun because you're getting your registration that they asked for. You know, it's ridiculous. And the thing is what I've always kind of realized, and I've been told for years, I'm from Alabama originally, and I remember my father used to tell me all the time is that, you know what, the reality is that after when you were a kid and you saw Rodney King, and you seen that guy get the crap beat out of him, that should have told you already that it didn't matter. It don't matter what's on TV. It doesn't matter what they see. The reality is if you can't change the idea and the mindset that they have, there's nothing you can do. You can't change their mentality. And it's not that it isn't there, they can't see it. It's that they choose to pretend like it isn't real.
Yep.
You know, when Trayvon Martin gets killed, or you sit and watch a guy get shot in his back. I remember seeing it on TV thinking to myself, dude, he got shot running away. I'm a soldier. I fought in combat. I've been in combat before. And we couldn't do that in Afghanistan, in the country we're fighting a war. And you're able to do this, and it's okay. And the sad part is that I'm sure, like a lot of people, you were shocked and awed, but at the same time, you woke up the next day knowing that was reality.
Yep. That's it. Thanks for the call, man. I think you hit on the head. People ignore it. People ignore the reality. They see it and they ignore it. 857-600-0518. Listen, you can call my show and disagree with me. What you ain't going to do is just call my show and just yell. Come on, folks. The fuck? What do I look like? Y'all must think this Twitter. You gonna call my show and just yell at me? You gonna act ignorant? Listen, this has always been my rule of thumb. You get the respect that you show me. You show me the respect and you make your case, I'll listen. But you call my show and just yell, ain't nobody more ignorant than me, man. Nobody more ignorant than me. And the last caller makes a great point. People like to pretend like they're ignorant. People like to look at the reality. They like to look at the reality of what it is to be black in America, what it is to be Muslim in America, what it is to be a woman in America, and they like to dismiss it. A wholesale dismissal of what it is to be those things. And what we're saying is we actually have the right formula. We have the right formula. The formula is this: to dismantle the neoliberal center by taking away their ability to weaponize identity politics, which is pretty much the only move they had against Bernie Sanders. But instead of disarming their weaponization of identity politics, what we're doing is we're giving them ammunition to further use identity politics as a weapon. Yeah, but they cheated. Yeah, okay, they cheated, but you know what else they did? They carried out a consistent campaign against progressives based on the idea. I mean, check it out. They waged it based on the idea that Bernie bros were racist and sexist. And now you got some people who are legitimately giving them the evidence that they're racist and sexist. And what do you think they're going to do to you come the next election? Anyway, 857-600-0518 if you'd like to weigh in on the conversation. I mean, that's all. That's it. I mean, I feel like this morning, that's it. We've said everything that we have to say because everything else at this point is just repeating. I haven't had one person call in. I had one person call in, disagree with me, and just want to yell, you know they cheated. Okay, yes, I do know they cheated. I do know they put their fingers on the scale. I do know they worked every angle they could to stop Bernie Sanders. You know what else they did? You know what else they did? What was the most effective of all their tools and tactics? They weaponized identity politics based solely on the possibility that progressives were racist and sexist. And you know what stuck on us the most was that. And I also know that aligning with the alt-right will give them the exact evidence that they need to never have to be accountable for their broken agenda. The fact that they don't really have an agenda. The fact that they're corporatists. Anyway, calling you live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, this is Ben from California.
Hey, how's it going? What's on your mind?
I was just calling in. I wanted to talk about just liberalism in the context of America, because I feel that it's really not represented that well.
Go for it. The floor is yours.
All right. Basically, just like a lot of people forget that the Red Scare had a really big effect on the United States and how we framed that for the youth. So, like, for liberals particularly, a lot of people get caught up and see them as the left, even though, like, most of the left is just, for the most part, has been dismantled.
Yep.
You mentioned that when you were talking earlier about how you don't go after the left. Again, we don't have a strong left in this country.
Right.
And so my point is, it's really important to just make sure it's aware that, like, they're not really that left. I mean, these are people who, like, pretty regularly, like, stop anti-communist rhetoric, which, I mean,
oh, man. You are breaking up. You're breaking up, but yeah, sorry about that. You're breaking up. I got to end it there. But if just based on what you said so far, that is something I mentioned earlier. I thought I had a legitimate reason for not addressing this for as long as I did. I've been ignoring this. I've been ignoring rumblings like this since the primaries, 2015. The reason I've been ignoring it because there's an absence of the left. There's not a strong left in the United States. There's not liberal. The term liberal has been co-opted to the point where we can't even use it anymore, right? It has been, the left has been devastated in the United States since the 60s. And so why would we attack the left from the left when there's barely any left in America? But the reality of it is that they've lost the narrative, they lost the plot, and they've lost it so much so that now they think the solution, instead of doing like the caller said, instead of aligning and going to find new voters and new constituencies and finding people who felt left out and marginalized and empowering them, instead of doing that, what they've done instead is say, let's align with the so-called anti-establishment from the right. And I say so-called because they're not really anti-establishment. They are just as much in power as anyone else. All right. So that's it. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Because, I mean, what's the point of all this conversation if we don't talk about where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? We need to know where people stand. Are they at the point where they're really ready to just dismiss what it is to be a marginalized identity in America? Because they hate identity politics. And oh, God, you know what? One of the reasons you hate identity politics is because the neoliberal center weaponized it so masterfully during the election. I mean, game recognized game. You know, I know good propaganda when I see it. It's masterful. And that's why you hate it so much. But instead of being smarter than them, you're playing directly into their hands and giving them the weapons that they need, the ammunition that they need to further weaponize it. And so, and now you have created a reinforced echo chamber that doesn't allow you to see outside of your anger at how they, you know, played us in the primaries, played America in the primaries. And you're so disillusioned by it. But the reality is this. People have made up their minds. And they want to make, you know, I saw somebody say earlier, don't draw a line in the sand. I'm sorry. I have to draw a line in the sand when it comes to race. Racism. Not just race, but racism. And aligning with people who make a joke of our race. And they make a joke of our deaths. They make a joke. They laugh. They revel. You want us to align with people who revel in our misery. And then you're surprised when we draw a line and say, you shall not pass. Let's take this last caller. Caller, you live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hello, Benjamin. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can barely hear you, but we can make it work. What's on your mind?
I just want to touch on what you're talking about, that some on the far left, they are our civil rights, black people's rights to vote, multiculturalism, that's what they want to put on the line. Because if you are really a progressive, you should support, you should be very unapologetic in supporting diversity and supporting multiculturalism. Go look on Michael Tracy's feed right now. Tell me, is that a progressive that supports multiculturalism, that supports diversity? In my opinion, any Democratic nominee should be unapologetic in diversity, in multiculturalism. That's what progressive values stand for. I don't give a damn about Wall Street. We need a progressive that's going to punish these police unions and break up these police unions. Give me a fucking, give me a Wall Street
neoliberal. You called on my show at night, so you know I've been cussing all night. Go ahead.
Okay. Give me a Wall Street neoliberal hat that's going to punish these police unions, that's not going to appoint a white supremacist as an attorney general, that's not going to appoint Chris Kobach. That's what these people call identity politics, bro. I'm sorry, just go look at some of these guys' feed, Jimmy Dawes' feed and Michael Tracy's feed. Are these progressives? Come on, bro. Anybody that says that is a lie. Our black people, they should not sacrifice their rights for the greater good. Bro, why is it that we've never heard anybody talking? Why is there not a purity threshold on supporting black people's civil rights, on voting rights? But Wall Street, if you don't support the $15 minimum wage, I care more about punishing police unions and not appointing as white supremacist attorney general that I ever care about Wall Street. But these guys don't talk about it, and they are giving credence to the far left and the far right, the likes of Joy and Reid's horseshoe theory. That's what they are doing right now. Any Democratic nominee in the 2020 in the 2020 times, they must be unapologetic in supporting multiculturalism, because that's what Mike Cernovich hates. This Mike Cernovich guy, he celebrated when Trayvon Martin was killed. How can any progressive want us to link up with that? That's not progressivism, bro. I rather Trump win 8 years and let us get an unapologetic progressive in after 2020 than to cow down and pander to racists. Why should black people pander to racists because of Wall Street? I don't hate CNN enough that I'm willing to sacrifice my rights. I don't hate CNN enough that I'm willing to sit at the table with Mike Cernovich. That's what they hate. That's what they hate. So I'm ready for Trump 8 years, but I'm never going to sit down with the likes of this guy who ridiculed Trayvon Martin. Anytime a black people is shot, they celebrate. Look at these guys to the feed. Look at Mike Cernovich to the feed. They celebrate our deaths. It's fun to them. I'm never going to settle down for them because I don't like what Chris Cuomo on CNN. This is life and death. People are dying. They are thinking about appointing Rudy Giuliani. These are white supremacists, bro. And people, because of Wall Street. I'm not going to go that, bro. So I said any Democratic nominee must be unapologetic in supporting diversity, in multiculturalism, must be unapologetic in calling out the racists. As racist as Donald Trump is, on the left, on the right, a guy should, as racist as Donald Trump is on the right, a guy that supports our true values should come on the left. And that's what progressivism means to me. Progressivism means for me speaking out against for the Palestinians, speaking out for black people. I don't care. I see Philando Castile on the street, and I say, would Wall Street have said Philando Castile? Let there be. If we're talking about purity politics, why is there no purity politics for civil rights? Why is it that they cannot say any candidate that doesn't support civil rights, voting rights, this and that? Why is there no purity politics for that? So please touch on that, Ben. And these guys are giving credence to the identity politics that they so hate. They are giving credence to Joy and Reid's far left and far right offshoot theory, and they don't even realize it. Thank you, bro. That's all I
brother, what's your name again?
My name is Norbert.
Hey, man, thanks so much for calling. Where are you calling from?
From Hungary. I'm an international viewer.
Absolutely. I was looking at the exchange that you called from. Hey, man, thanks for speaking truth to power, and please call back anytime. Hey.
Thank you, bro.
Bless you, man. Ah, man. Yeah, I loved him too. I don't think there's anything else for me to say that he didn't say better than I've been saying all night. This is, I didn't catch his, I couldn't really, it was a little muffled on my end. I couldn't catch his name, but this is his show. So change the name of the title to The Last Caller Show. That's all, folks. Let's get out of here. We're going to take it out of here. We'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same channel.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is on.
Oh, we lost the closing, but that's all right. Go ahead and end the stream.